Welcome everyone to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Tara, and we are going to talk about Star Trek Discovery Season 4, Episode 10. It's called The Galactic Barrier. So full spoilers for the episode as always. This one pretty much breaks down into two simple plot lines. One is the Discovery ship itself, actually going through the Galactic Barrier, as in the title, and all the scientific jargon and danger that presents on its way. And then the other plot, of course, is Book and Tarka, and it's something of a flashback episode on that side of the thing, where we get kind of Tarka's backstory with his friend, and we sort of see that friendship and what it was and how it blossomed, and mostly just sort of clarifying what his goals are and his intentions. Not to say that I still think there's like a untrustworthy vibe that he might just screw over whoever he's with to get what he wants at any given point, but I mean, it at least confirmed, assuming we're seeing the truth as it's been presented to us, that it confirms a lot of what his story's been up until this point. So those are the two plot lines. How did you feel about this one?
I thought it was alright. I enjoyed the sort of fantastic voyage like special effects of the Discovery going through the galactic barrier. It looked like they were trying to get into like big blood vessels.
Yeah, I was thinking bubbles. So it was like big, what did they call them? They called them like I don't know, galactic particles or something, but it was
something like that. Yeah. I don't know, but it was super like that vibe of we're just going to make up the science from this point out because we have no idea what's out there. So it was giving me a lot of Fantastic Voyage vibes.
Yeah, I was thinking that
also. Yeah,
I was thinking as well. Is there like, no, maybe there is, and I just don't know anything about this, but is like the edge of the galaxy, is there such a thing as the edge itself? Because I guess I just assumed that it's like moving from one space to another. Like it's only got like a line, like a barrier that if we give it one, not because there's a natural thing that says you're now leaving the Milky Way, you're now going into. No,
I don't think so. But I know that the Enterprise in the original series goes to the edge of the galaxy, and where no man has gone before, and it's just like a pink line in space, and they don't actually cross it, I don't believe. So I guess because Trek canon has established that there is a wall or some sort of barrier that they have to, continue that.
There's a force field of sorts. So anyways, so these big bubbles, and most of them just sort of appear and disappear. They're too unstable, but ultimately they have to go through to protect themselves. They go inside one of the more stable bubbles, one of the more colourful ones, because the black and white ones they go into, which they do go into briefly, like actually takes the colour away from the visual. And they all see that, so even they're all like, "Whoa, we're almost sepia toned in here. What's going on?"
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun adventure.
Yeah, that stuff was all right. I think my critiques of and I don't think it was a terrible episode by any means. There's some stuff in here I like. There's definitely a general vibe though of some of the writing being just kind of like, just this because, and just this was easy, and like there's conflicts that are kind of set up and then solved in as many scenes, with very little happening to kind of like progress the character to their realization or choice. Also, one of the bridge crew, I think it was Bryce, doesn't go on the trip with them.
That's right.
For reasons.
He gets replaced by Lieutenant Christopher.
Very good. I'll take your word for it. But I
think that's right.
I'm not sure what the point of this is, other than maybe like he's going to then become more important in this new location, doing something else. But
he's working with Cronenberg.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I see when it's like, because it's like, okay, all these important people have to go to make first contact and go through the barrier, and we have all these delegates, and we have the president's going as well. She's transferred power to the vice president. David Cronenberg just conveniently says, "Oh, I'm not going, even though I clearly should be. But that's because I've got something important to do." And all I could think was, well, yeah, because if you're on the ship, then we have to see more of you, and you're David Cronenberg, and you don't want to like commit to too much stuff on the show. That's why.
It'd be great if he would, like, the reason we don't see him is because he decides to direct the rest of the season of Discovery. Maybe he's going to design or direct the Species 10C.
there'd be a lot more body horror, I think, if if David Cronenberg starts directing. Certainly if he starts writing as well, if he starts influencing the story. As far as I know, he's just an actor on the show, but I mean... It's a sad thing, but even if he's not officially anything else, I almost wonder, like, just one day on set, someone comes in and says, "Oh, we're trying to think of this creature design for something," and Cronenberg just overhears.
Got any ideas?
He's like, "Well, I have an idea. What about?"
I mean, he's on set, like, you know, like some of the artists are going up to him and be like, "Just check out these sketches. What do you think?"
we need something that says, you know, despair of the mind, and he's like, "Have you tried gooey genitals coming out of an eyeball?"
Yes, but we get to visually see them turn inside out.
Yes. And then there's a pop, and there's,
there's teeth. Yeah, there's lots of teeth
and fluid everywhere, and then yeah.
What a waste if they don't.
I know, more Cronenberg. That's my recommendation for the show.
Oh yeah. I do like him in the show, especially because the show has so much emphasis on feelings, and he is the expert on feelings and seems to have none. It's kind of nice, like he's got character.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the things that bugged me is that so you got Michael and you got the president lady, and she's coming along because before she took this role as president of the Federation, she was a delegate. She was an ambassador, so that was what she was good at. So she's thinking, I'm the best person for this job to try and make contact. And they acknowledge as well that this species might not speak in a... Because they talk about the universal translators and say that, well, part of the reason why these work so well is because fundamentally, even though all the different species speak in different languages, they all kind of fundamentally... like are not based in the same thing, but they're all looking for like patterns that are recognizable. So it's not so much that something a Klingon says directly translates as I could murder a sandwich right now, but it translates and makes sense to us because we're looking for something that makes sense to English or whatever language we're translating to. So the idea being that we're lucky, and in the same way that a lot of languages on Earth use the same alphabet, for example, not all of them, but a lot of them do. In a similar fashion, like this alien species might not use words and sounds in the way that all of the other species do. So it might be harder to translate. I mean, I guess the movie Arrival comes to mind where it wasn't words in our sense that was used. It was something completely different in Alien. I was thinking of just the episode Darmok. Oh, there you go. They do use words, but it's the context that can't be translated. Yeah, it's a very different like form of speaking. But but for who knows, maybe this species just like presents you with like a bubble, and that bubble is the language, and you're meant to understand what the bubble means. I did like the little here are all the different like tricorders and badges and all the universal translators that have been used in previous treks that are just on display. And it opens up with the Picard one, I guess, to let you know that Picard's starting this week. Get excited. Yeah, I feel like they just went down to the Star Trek museum and just grabbed a few things off the shelves for this scene. That's pretty sure that's what they did. No, so she's on the mission with her, and one of the things is right away Michael's like, hey, I can't have you like questioning all the orders I'm giving on the ship. Like, I kind of need to be captain, and the crew can't be doubting what's been asked of them. So, don't be a bad admiral, basically, is the scene. And she says, yes, I understand and accept that, but there's like a tone. It kind of feels like there's this tension like the entire time. And it really irked me at the end of the episode where they've kind of come to eye, and they have this heart-to-heart right before the episode ends when they're on the other side of the galactic barrier. And Michael has this really cheesy line, says, well, if we can't communicate with each other, then how can we expect to communicate with them? And it's like, like the music gets all heartfelt, and it's like, sometimes you could just not point out the message and just let it be there. Let it be there for us to get. Yeah, I mean, the show's not really about being subtle. I think it's not so much that, like, Star Trek The Next Generation, I wouldn't necessarily say it is a very subtle show, necessarily, But I think when statements like that have to be pointed out, it's usually because it comes at a moment where that statement needs to be said to solve the problem. And it's not like this where it's just like a sort of tacked on thing at the end. Because it's already solved. They've already fixed the problem at this point.
Well, I mean, the thing that they're pointing out in this is that we need a strong leader, some figure that is going to tell us that it's going to be okay, even if they don't know, because we're all looking to our leaders right now. And, you know, it's the whole allegory and parallels they've been working through this whole season of people being divided, not trusting governments. Some strange thing has come through and just wiped out civilizations or just, you know, people that you love are gone. So I think it's just, she's the president. She needs to be a symbol more than anything else of strong leadership.
Yeah. I want Michael as well because, you know, I mean, Michael's like needs to be the captain to the crew and all the rest of it. And there's even a moment at the end, like you said, where Michael says, "And you're also my president." And again, it's kind of sweet and heartwarming, kind of. Well, this is what they're going for anyway. I would debate whether or not it succeeds in the feeling that it's trying to evoke, but
it's okay. I like the president. Rillick.
Take your word for it.
Is that right? I don't know. That might be an old Star Trek villain. Tarina? One of them's a Tarina. One of them's a Rillick.
I don't know. I don't look at me. I have no answer for you.
Well, you watch the show too.
You said Rillick and all I could think was killer backwards.
I didn't know if that was the thing.
Maybe I shouldn't trust her. Maybe that's what. Maybe it's like a hint all along.
Yeah, maybe. Well, she does have those Cardassian bumps. Gotta watch out. She's got the spoon head. It's subtle, but it's there.
Oh. We have more of this. Can I just call it an awful romance between Saru and Nivar lady?
Nivar. There is no romance. It's just they got crushes. Or maybe it's just one-sided. Oh, come on. It's kind of cute.
It's not cute. We stop the episode to have scenes of this, and it's just awkward Saru saying, "Oh, well, I'm going on this trip, so I don't have time to, like, go for dinner with you, but I'll just, you know, I care for you deeply and maybe want more than a friendship." And then she's on the ship because the actual Navarre, like, delegate couldn't make it in time because they had to leave in a hurry.
Well, after she, like, ghosts him, is like, "I'm not giving you an answer to your inquiry right now," and then she shows up on the ship like awkward.
Yes.
I don't know. I thought it was kind of a fun moment for Saru to have to go through that.
It all feels very forced to me now. Like it felt like the episode just paused so we could do this awkward scene, and I didn't get anything out of it. So I'm off the train on this for now, and until they convince me otherwise.
Well, I mean, Culber's there to tell you why the scene is in the show, or this storyline is in the show, is to be like, don't forget, like, even when times are hard, you still have time to make new connections, to you know, put some time aside for your own mental health and companionship.
And this was bad too, having Culber stand there and explain this to
I didn't think it was bad.
All that stuff is bad. I didn't like any of it. Also, Adira's back, but Gray is not. And there's a bit of... Again, I think this was the scene. This was the plotline I was thinking of, where there's two scenes. There's one where Adira's first back, and Stamets is, like, I guess worried that they're feeling iffy because Gray's not there. Overdoes, like, "Oh, Adira's amazing and we can't get this done without them," and blah blah blah. And then later on we get the follow-up scene at the end where he's like, "I might have been a bit enthusiastic before, I'm sorry," and it resolves.
Yeah.
Set up and resolve. Nothing in between. Nothing, like, no moments in between where they're together and maybe because of the tension there's a mistake made or they have to inspire each other or anything like that. It just cuts straight to I might have overdone it a bit earlier.
I mean, honestly, I think Stamets has been doing this throughout the whole season, not just this episode.
That's fair.
So I do think it is kind of that's like the penultimate of, like, they're just very embarrassed about the whole situation now. And he's got to come in and rectify it. Yeah,
it's not satisfying to watch, though. It's not satisfying to do these plot lines with Stamets. I think Stamets I like well enough as a character, but like there's too much. Just like if there was something in the episode, I mean, I don't necessarily. I mean, I was given a bunch of examples there of how Stamets and Adira could be in scenes together that would inspire the final scene between them. You don't necessarily need both of them. It could just be Stamets, because he's the one that's made the choice to then apologize. He could have his own little story where he realizes he's made a mistake because he maybe learned something from someone else. Whatever it may be, it doesn't really matter. But there's none of that either. there's none of that. You see him a couple of times because he's the one jumping, because he's fixing science shit. Trying to figure out if they can keep the shields up or whatever as they're going through the barrier. That's it. There's nothing else there. So, yes, there's a lot of just cause and just... It's not A to B, it's A and then B.
All right.
Don't give me that tone. I'm right.
What? I don't really have much to add on that, so it's okay.
You concede defeat. Okay, I accept this.
And I didn't know we were in competition.
Well, we're not, but you inherently feel like you're trying to defend the show a lot. So
yes.
Well, therefore there's competition and I win.
If that's what you need.
It's not what I need. It's this tone you're giving me.
Well, let's talk about the other plot.
Okay. This was better. I think this was it's maybe a little bit too like streamlined in some ways, where it feels like some of the friendship and the flashbacks is maybe a little too just a little too bullet pointy, and I don't know what I'm even trying to say, but I guess what I'm saying is that I think the general story it tells, which is that Tarka befriends this alien and they don't really like each other at first, and the reason why the other alien doesn't want to really befriend them is because his previous like cellmate eventually got killed and he got too attached and he's trying not to be attached again, and you get that from the relationship. That's all fine and well.
But it's hard when you share like one room with somebody for years.
Yes.
To not at least try to, have some sort of companionship out of it.
But, they bond over science, over numbers. Tarka recognizes that he's messing with some things that he doesn't, know about. And it turns out that that's the interdimensional stuff that he's working with. And they make this goal. He wants to go to this other universe, which based on his like own alien races like beliefs and stuff, it's like he sort of looks at like a paradise that he can maybe go to. And they try and make this thing, and they're hoping that the power reserves that this prison has, because they're meant to, the reason why they're in a lab together is because like the Emerald Chain, they want them to make stuff for them. They're there as science prisoners. But they build this device to try and cross universes, but there's not quite enough power in the place to do it. And instead it just sets off the alarms and they come in. And and there's scenes where they hear an alarm earlier in the episode. It's when they're just starting to bond, and the alien guy kind of gets scared because the last time this alarm went off, like they came and killed his friend, so he gets really scared, and Tarka kind of like holds him, and it's kind of sweet. It kind of works.
Yeah, and it's just like a bond between two people who just have mutual respect for each other. I thought it was going to be like another romance thing, and like, well, we have so many romances. Like, it's nice that it's just like a brotherly sort of bond and respect for each other's minds. They're
basically going for like a Shawshank Redemption kind of like.
Actually, it is kind of reminiscent of an episode of Deep Space Nine with O'Brien. Obviously, it's not one you've watched yet. I don't know if you want me to talk about it, but like people who've watched Star Trek probably know which one I'm referring to, where he goes to a prison for 20 years and befriends somebody.
Yeah, so that's all happens while they're like, we get all these flashbacks they need some power cell things that are at this old prison where they were kept, which is why in present day they're going there, because they need to coat the ship in this special kind of antimatter shield or whatever. So they go to this prison to collect them, and there's not really much of a story to them going in. Oh, they get scared briefly for a second because there's a ship going past, but other than that, it's really just a bookend, no pun intended, around the flashbacks to sort of give them a reason.
I don't know how you feel about this, but there's the cloaking technology seems to be worse in this future, Because you know they have like the Predator cloak now, where you could still see the ship there, whereas we already have in the movies, like because the bird of prey and such, where it's just invisible. Well, like you could just walk right into it.
I think you're reading that. Basically, the reason why it looks this way now is because we have better effects that can show it like kind of like invisible, but we can still see it as an audience, so it's still visual to us. So you're reading that as worse because it used to be invisible, but the real answer is it used to be invisible because they didn't really have a good effect to use to show like an outline of a ship. So
sure, but like in Star Trek 4, like people just walk into the bird of prey. That's
true. That's true.
Where if there was a Predator shimmer, they would be like, oh, what the hell? There's like a building here.
But is the cloaking, I mean, this ship that had the cloaking in this episode, is that taking from the same technology that the Klingons and Romulans use, or is this like someone's proprietary, inferior cloaking technology?
Well, the Romulans are part of Navarre, and I assume that it would be the same technology, if not better.
Did they say it was an Navarre ship?
Well, Romulans are now a part of the Federation, because Romulans and Vulcans are together.
Yes, I understand that, but this ship they see in this episode, we have no indication of what species owns that ship, do we?
Well, if it's Federation, then why wouldn't they? Well, it may not be Federation.
Yeah,
but,
like who says it's Federation?
But I'm also talking about Discovery, because we've seen Discovery cloak.
Oh, I don't remember that.
And it's the same thing.
Sure.
It happened in the last episode.
Yeah. I'm just talking about the ship in this episode, because if this is like some villainous ship off some like some pirate ship or whatever, like I mean, it could just be some cheap technology that's not as good as the real thing.
Yeah, it's a courier ship. What they said, just scavenging.
Yeah, so I don't know, but
anyway, that's all.
But I mean, basically, the plot is for Book to then trust Tarka a little bit more. Admittedly, Tarka is still very much like, I just want the power source. We have to go outside the barrier and get the power source. And it's like, okay, that's fine. But I guess it feels like you can trust him now more because he knows more of the story. But it does kind of feel like his goal is to get the power source and leave rather than save everyone from this like certain death that's coming throughout the galaxy. Yeah,
he claims that it'll do both. But he doesn't really know.
Yeah, he doesn't know. Just like he knew the power source was inside the anomaly, just like that. Which was the other thing we have to mention is the other big reveal of the episode is that because they destroyed the previous anomaly, the one that was then replaced with, the new one, is bigger and stronger, so it's actually mining faster. So it's already jumped to a new location, and that location puts them on direct trajectory to go through Nivar, Mars, and Earth.
That's right. Alpha Quadrant.
Yeah. Do we know how close Nivar is to our solar system?
I don't know.
No, we don't know
it's
that.
Vulcan, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I never got the impression before that Vulcan was close to like Earth and Mars and that, but then again, Nivar's like their new planet that they've picked, so maybe they picked one that was close to...
Oh, I thought Nivar was just a renamed Vulcan, but maybe you're right.
I don't know. Maybe it's just renamed. I thought it was a new place though, but I could be wrong. There's so many details to remember in shows like this. There's so much like world and mythology and
I have to watch a show at least 3 times before it sticks.
Yeah, because that's the thing is that Michael and the president find out about this. Michael wants to tell the crew, the president doesn't. And Michael's argument is that they should know what the stakes are. They should know why we have to succeed. Because we get the scene where like everybody's talking about what they're going to do when they get some vacation. They're all going to go to Earth or Navarre or Mars. Yeah, so we get a big speech at the end where the president announces to the crew that what's going on, this is what's happening, and they all kind of like, blonde woman whose name I don't know, she looks very concerned. Alien head guy, he looks concerned.
Linus.
Reese looks concerned. I don't remember his name.
Yes.
And Detmer. Yeah. I
Oh,
remember
wow.
them. But the blonde woman's like relatively new addition, I think. I don't think she was there the entire time.
She played Ariam in season 1, but then they got a different actress to play Ariam in season 2 because they killed her off. So that the season 1 person who's already like friends with everybody could stay on the ship.
Yeah.
Which they can get away with because Arian was covered in makeup.
Oh, for sure. I have no problems with that. No problems at all. Yeah. So, I don't think this was as strong as the last couple episodes, but I think it had enough stuff in it that I was into. Which
I
is
enjoyed the Tarka stuff. I enjoyed the ship going into crossing the barrier. I thought that was good. I like the little development of the president. Michael and her have the conversation about like the only reason you don't want to tell people is because you just need some sort of control in the situation. Because out here I'm in charge in the way. So this is the one thing that you have that you can hold on to over people. And then she basically admits, like, yeah, you're right. People should probably know.
Yeah. I enjoyed the wacky space adventure elements as much as it was just mostly nonsense of going through the barrier.
I like the opening scene also with Cronenberg and some new guy who I don't recognize, who's also an expert in, like, communications or something. And he's there and he's, like, laughing at his jokes. It was good. It was a nice little scene. Plus, we got another Ferengi, or the same Ferengi, maybe. It's hard to tell. He hasn't spoken yet.
That's fair. Yeah. No, it was basically an episode. In a way, I guess if I was going to critique it, I'd say that the going through the barrier stuff felt like that was made more difficult just so they could... Because they wanted to do this episode where we got the flashbacks for Tarka's story because they feel that's important. And I think it probably is. I think in terms of what's interesting about this season's story, I think you need that. But so they can't have the other plot with Discovery advance too far. So I think it being this difficult to go through the barrier is designed just so that it slows them down whilst we're doing this flashback plot. And I think on some level, I think you can feel that. Like when you get to the end of the episode and you're like, okay, it's just we're now on the other side of the barrier and it's time to actually go and do what we've been building up to. You do kind of feel like it feels a bit harsh to say spinning their wheels a little bit, but it does feel by design so that the other plot has time to play out and then they'll be more in sync. So, because I presume Bookship now will just come through the barrier, like maybe off camera, and they'll run into them next episode or further down the line or whatever.
We'll get the second standoff.
Yes, and interestingly, last time it turned out like Michael and Co were completely right about what they were saying, and Tarka was wrong. So we'll see if that influences Book's decision making this time around.
I suspect so.
Or do they screw up First Contact even more when they finally get to meet the species?
And that'll be season 5's plot.
The war with 10C. Maybe we'll have a name for them by then.
I wonder if 10C made the Doomsday Machine. Probably not. But
I hope not.
The Doomsday Machine also came like from outside the galaxy.
I hope not, just because I don't want to then associate that with like a Discovery plot. I'd rather just stay a mystery on its own for that own episode in the original series.
I think the speculation is that it came from another galaxy and it ate everything and then it's just wandered into ours for the Doomsday Machine.
Oh well, there you go. That's what speaks Discovery. What have we got left? 3 episodes left?
Yeah, then we start Picard.
Not then. Well, we start Picard this coming week.
Yeah, we're gonna overlap.
Yeah. So.
Thanks, Paramount Plus.
Yeah. This is gonna kill me.
Kill you. I barely have enough time to do this.
Yeah, but I need to watch 2 mediocre Trek shows at the same time.
I did. There was a a radio play or something that came out for Picard, and it's just like a little teaser of what's to come, and it was about Raffi and 7 of 9. Because at the very end, you saw them touching hands. And you're like, what's going on here? Well, they're in a relationship.
Rohan, remind me who Raffi? Who was Raffi?
Raffi's the one with the hair in Picard. She was the former, she's the one that lives at Vasquez Rock.
Oh, okay.
And she's got the addictions.
What do you mean the one with the hair?
She's got great hair.
Yes, but she doesn't have weird hair or notable hair. That I'm like, oh
I'd
yes.
say it's pretty notable.
All right, so 7 of 9 and Rafi are in a relationship. Okay, good to know.
Yeah, there was like it's kind of like a radio drama, and it was good. Get me pumped for the show. Can't wait.
It's strange actually. If Patrick Stewart was in it, I'd have said it only happened because Patrick Stewart was bored and said I would like to do some acting because he likes to act. So
yes,
I'll whip it a mic.
Michelle Hurd and Jerry Ryan, they don't.
Well, I'm sure they do, but like I just Patrick Stewart, you know, he was doing soliloquies like every day on Twitter for like ages during the pandemic. I don't know if he may still be doing it. I don't know if he ever stopped.
Oh, I didn't see any of that.
But he was doing that like every day from the start of the pandemic. It was you know, it was just Patrick Stewart being Patrick Stewart, enjoying his acting life. Yeah, that's what he does. But yeah, let us know what you thought of this episode of Discovery in the comments below. Like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications, all that. You can get us on Twitter at mail_fuzz for channel updates, and of course you can support us over at patreon.com/mailfuzztv for as little as $1 per month. So go and have a look and help keep all the content coming. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?